Well, everyone, I think James Gunn did it. He nailed this Superman, and he nailed the start of the DCU, which I think was super critical at this point. Hi, everyone. I'm Kino Chris. I just want to give my thoughts on the new Superman movie that came out recently. I actually got to see it at the Amazon Prime pre-screening event last Tuesday, but just getting around to giving my thoughts on it. Really brought me back to when I was a kid, watching the old animated shows, especially like Justice League, and reading comics back in the day too. So it was such a great time. So to start, I mean, they nailed the cast. David Cornsweet as Superman is top tier. I think he's right there with Christopher Reeve. Um, Maybe even better. It's hard to say, but I really enjoyed him. What I thought was interesting is it almost felt like Matt Reeves is the Batman when where both this Superman and that Batman, they're early on in their careers, so they're not as refined, not as mature as we usually see them in comics and movies. This Superman, I don't know, like he is very hopeful, but he also gets angry at times, loses his temper, is a little immature, doesn't fully think things through, kind of like in Batman. He, some things slip with the cracks with him, with his detective work and all. So I thought it was an interesting take. But as an aside, I just can't see this Superman or really like I guess any of the Batman world going into this new DCU. It's just very different tones. But that's what I like about it. Different flavors. Part of the other cast, you got Lex Luthor. This guy's straight up evil. I would say I love to hate him, but there's some points where he does crazy evil stuff that it's hard to root for him at all. But Lois Lane was great. And then of course, Crypto. He was a standout character. I felt like, I think one of the best on-screen performances of a dog we've seen in the superhero movie. And Mr. Terrific, he was another standout too. Like I mentioned, Crypto. Just want to go back about Superman himself. He definitely feels like a golden retriever himself. He's just so hopeful, and despite the flaws I mentioned, he's just always trying to look for the best in people, and so it's great to see that in the Superman. Another topic too, the action. I thought was all was pretty cool. Very fast paced, very hard hitting. I felt like the camera work in it was really good, and what made this movie stand out too. Because even in like more lower stakes dialogue scenes, I liked how he used tracking shots a lot. It felt like, especially you might have seen in the Superman trailers. There's that one shot where Clark, he's walking away from Mom and Pop Kent, and the camera tracks him as he makes that move. So things like that just I feel like ratchet up the intensity in the even smaller scale scenes. But speaking of like the Kents, I think that leads a little bit to some of my drawbacks where they introduced so many great characters, but they just didn't have enough time to flesh them all out. Like I really wanted to see more of Mom Pa Kent. Like that scene of like Pa Kent with Clark Kent there on the bench is so emotional. It makes the movie feel a little overstuffed. And I didn't have issues with the pacing. I thought the second half flew by pretty well, but I've heard some people have had issues with it. Just felt like it dragged a little bit with the other subplots. And then something else that people mentioned is that the writing is a little clunky. It's very like exposition heavy, which it's not wrong, but I mean it's like accurate with it. But I felt like it almost kind of fit with how I mentioned that feels like a classic comic book or animated show where in those a lot of times the writing isn't the sharpest. They're very heavy handed or just kind of telling you what's going on. So it almost fit with the tone of this movie. So it wasn't the most out of place for me. But as far as back to the standouts, another big one was the score. The score was so gripping, so intense, but knew when to be more subtle and soft at times, kind of showing Superman's own range. Definitely shout out to David Fleming and John Murphy on that. A couple of standout songs are "Last Sun" and "Look Up." I think those are kind of fit the description I gave about them. But yeah, overall, I had so much fun with this movie. I really want to go back for a second viewing. Might try to do that this week. But yeah, before I was skeptical about the new DCU. I wasn't sure, like with just superhero movie fatigue, just general interest in them waning. Um, but this feels like a shot in the arm for DCU and Warner Brothers. Definitely, they needed this win for sure. But I feel like it was a win for all of us comic book fans, superhero fans in general. So go see Superman. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. But yeah, had a great time with it. Everyone, take care. This is Kino Chris.